This is a short preliminary video. I'm not going to get to Leviticus for a while, but I got a question on it that I would like to address. From Nikki Of Earth. Said Leviticus 10 is another one that has driven me nuts for a while. Check that one out and see what you can do with it, please. And that's exactly, I asked, hey, Nikki, what do you want me to take a look at something for you? And that's it. So that's what this video is right here. And I just took a preliminary look at it. I am not at all really working on the interpretation of it. This is just a quick overview of what I see, though, by just taking a preliminary glance at it. It is a part of the template. And so what I did is I went and took a look at number 10, but I backed up a little bit because I thought something was missing. Yeah, something at 9 kind of feeds into it. So what I've got in this video is I'm going to read 9 and 10, and then at the end I'm just going to do that quick overview talking about what I see initially. Again, without getting into a deep interpretation. That would take a little bit more time and work. When I study these, what I'm going to do is first I record them and then I copy the recording onto my phone so I can listen to it throughout the day, or at times as I'm hiking or something, I'll grab parts of it and process it. So let's go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to go ahead and read it. This is number 9. Aaron's priesthood inaugurated. On the 8th day, Moses summoned Aaron and his sons and the elders of Israel. He said to Aaron, "Take a bull calf for a purification offering and a ram for a burnt offering, without blemish, and offer them before the Lord. And say to the Israelites, take a male goat for purification offering, a calf and a lamb, yearlings without blemish, for a burnt offering, and an ox and a ram for an offering of well-being to sacrifice before the Lord, and a grain offering mixed with oil. For today the Lord will appear to you." They brought what Moses commanded to the front of the tent of meeting, and the whole congregation drew near and stood before the Lord. And Moses said, "This is the thing that the Lord commanded you to do, so that the glory of the Lord may appear to you." Then Moses said to Aaron, "Draw near to the altar and sacrifice your purification offering and your burnt offering, and make atonement for yourself and for the people, and sacrifice the offering of the people, and make atonement for them, as the Lord has commanded." Aaron drew near to the altar and slaughtered the calf of the purification offering, which was for himself. The sons of Aaron presented the blood to him, and he dipped his finger in the blood and put it on the horns of the altar, and the rest of the blood he poured out at the base of the altar. But the fat, the kidneys, and the appendage of the liver from the purification offering he turned into smoke on the altar, as the Lord had commanded Moses, and the flesh and the skin he burned with fire outside the camp. Then he slaughtered the burnt offering. Aaron's sons brought him the blood, and he dashed it against all sides of the altar. And they brought him the burnt offering piece by piece, and the head, which he turned into smoke on the altar. He washed the entrails and the legs, and, with the burnt offering, turned them into smoke on the altar. Next, he presented the people's offering. He took the goat of the purification offering that was for the people and slaughtered it and presented it as a purification offering like the first one. He presented the burnt offering and sacrificed it according to regulation. He presented the grain offering, and taking a handful of it, he turned it into smoke on the altar in addition to the burnt offering of the morning. He slaughtered the ox and the ram as a sacrifice of well-being for the people. Aaron's sons brought him the blood, which he dashed against all sides of the altar, and the fat of the ox and of the ram, the fatty tail, the fat that covers the entrails, the 2 kidneys and the fat on them, and the appendage of the liver. They first laid the fat on the breasts, and the fat was turned into smoke on the altar, and the breasts and the right thigh Aaron raised as an elevation offering before the Lord, as Moses had commanded. Aaron lifted his hands toward the people and blessed them, and he came down after sacrificing the purification offering, the burnt offering, and the offering of well-being. Moses and Aaron entered the tent of meeting, and then came out and blessed the people, and the glory of the Lord appeared to all the people. Fire came out from the Lord and consumed the burnt offering and the fat on the altar, and when the people saw it, they shouted and fell on their faces. Now Aaron's sons, Nadab and Abihu, each took his censer, put fire in it, and laid incense on it, and they offered unholy fire before the Lord, such as he had not commanded them. And fire came out from the presence of the Lord and consumed them, and they died before the Lord. Then Moses said to Aaron, "This is what the Lord meant when he said, 'Through those who are near me I will show myself holy, and before all the people I will be glorified.'" And Aaron was silent. Moses summoned Mishael and Elzaphan, sons of Uzziel, the uncle of Aaron, and said to them, "Come forward and carry your kinsmen away from the front of the sanctuary to a place outside the camp." They came forward and carried them by their tunics out of the camp, as Moses had ordered. And Moses said to Aaron and to his sons Eleazar and Ithamar, "Do not dishevel your hair, and do not tear your vestments, or you will die, and wrath will strike all the congregation. But your kindred, the whole house of Israel, may mourn the burning that the Lord has sent. You shall not go outside the entrance of the tent of meeting, lest you die, for the anointing oil of the Lord is on you." And they did as Moses ordered. And the Lord spoke to Aaron, "Drink no wine or strong drink, neither you nor your sons, when you enter the tent of meeting, that you may not die. It is a statute forever throughout your generations. You are to distinguish between the holy and the common, and between the unclean and the clean, and you are to teach the Israelites all the statutes that the Lord has spoken to them through Moses." Moses spoke to Aaron and to his remaining sons, Eleazar and Ithamar, "Take the grain offering that is left from the Lord's offerings by fire, and eat it unleavened beside the fire, for it is most holy. You shall eat it in a holy place, because it is your due and your sons' due, from the offerings by fire to the Lord, for so I am commanded. But the breast that is elevated, and the thigh that is raised, you and your sons and daughters may well eat in any clean place, for they have been assigned to you and your children from the sacrifices of the well-beings of the Israelites. The thigh that is raised and the breast that is elevated they shall bring together with the offerings by fire of the fat to raise for an elevation offering before the Lord. They are to be your due and that of your children forever, as the Lord commanded." Then Moses made inquiry about the goat of the purification offering, and it had already been burned. He was angry with Eleazar and Ithamar, Aaron's remaining sons, and said, "Why did you not eat the purification offering in the sacred area? For it is most holy, and God has given it to you that you may remove the guilt of the congregation to make atonement on their behalf before the Lord. Its blood was not brought into the inner part of the sanctuary. You should certainly have eaten it in the sanctuary as I commanded." And Aaron spoke to Moses, "See, today they offered their purification offering and their burnt offering before the Lord, and yet such things as these have befallen me. If I had eaten the purification offering today, would it have been agreeable to the Lord?" And when Moses heard that, he agreed. Okay. I'll just listen to it over and over again, but right away I see parts of a story in there, but it's not contained right here. This is like a healing process. The smoke, the burnt offering, draining the blood. There are ways of representing taking the life out of it. If you can just, visualize that as something as simple as that, whatever that ends up taking. The story's going to carry something that's very specific to them. You know what? Let's take a look at something right here real quick, right in the beginning. On the 8th day, Moses summoned Aaron and his sons and the elders of Israel. On the 8th day. What do we know about the seventh day that we've been working on? Seventh is analogous for the time in your life when you're naked, unashamed in the garden before first sin. After day 7, what must happen? First sin, day 8. This says the eighth day. So right off the bat, we're getting, to me, a specific location that kind of says after first sin. The eighth day would be that same thing that it's time to go do some inner healing. Let's go back and look at this one for a second. Moses is talking to Aaron, who I think that's a guru part of us. This is what the Lord meant when he said, "Those who are near me, I will show myself holy, and before all the people, I will be glorified." You know what? Before all the people, I will be glorified. That's somebody saying, God, I am God. However, before that, it says, "Those who are near me, I will show myself holy." This is it's a variation of many are called, few are chosen. A lot of people carry the ark, not many see inside. Those who are near me, I will show myself holy, and before all the people, I will be glorified. Many stand outside the narrow gate where few will enter. And that's how I see that one right there. That's a common. Where's my switcher? Yeah, that's a common teaching. Yeah, there's things in here, but it looks like there's divisions. And then certainly Aaron has 4 kids there, right? 2 of them to begin with, and then they do all the forgiveness and whatnot. But then 2 come along later and present something that is unholy after the forgiveness is done. To me, this looks like after you are purged in life, you avoid temptation. When it starts and it's small, right off the get-go, you just say, "Nope, I'm not even going down that road." That's what it sounds like to me in a psychological healing process. You must purge yourself. You give all the sacrifices. You give the offering. You're changing the things from the physical to smoke. It's changing from the physical world, and it's being released, whatever is there. So I look at that as it signifies the healing part of our process, where it's time to let go of things and to transform, to heal. And that you're doing it for people, all of the parts of who and what you are. In the tent, the structure that is you. Once you turn into the tent, the holy place is in there. That's where you're going to talk to God, your inner being, your higher self, all of that. Yeah, there's more to it than, what they're doing with the analogous stuff, with the offerings and everything 3,500 years ago. Those are the things that are important in their culture. They have food. They have clothing, and the food is like animal meat, bread, grains, oil. Those are incredibly important. It's like the staples of life. And what are they doing here? They're sacrificing all of those things. And in the culture, that's going to do what? For the people out there, it is going to help them control them as they are doing something that they feel good about doing to God, as they're experiencing life in that realm of thinking, if they commit to it. Meanwhile, on the template is really the same idea again, that we have to internally self-heal, let that stuff go, get rid of all the shame, and when stuff comes along later, that we don't let it be a part of us. All right, so this video was fun and very impromptu, actually. When something like that comes up, you ask a question, and I'm like, I haven't even read that. You go look at it, and this is the preliminary look I give it. And you look at it and go, boy, I see some things I recognize right off the bat. At the same time, because it's a different story, it's a different place, they're using different analogs, I know it somehow still fits, but I don't quite recognize some of the more cryptic parts. And so you just begin the mental processing. I read through it. I think about parts. I read through it. I think about parts. I let it go because it doesn't make sense. Within a couple of days, I start making connections that helps me see what they're doing. And right now, what you're seeing is the very preliminary peek at it. Let's just take a crack it open, see what's there, and then understanding, of course, that it's a short piece in a larger volume. And it looks like the part on the template where you're defeating the demons, the dragons, doing the worst work. That's what it looks like. And then as you emerge beyond that, anything that tries to come after you, stop it right off the bat. Why would God kill Aaron's other sons? It's our inner being killing off concepts of ourself that are trying to come along for the ride, and you're like, nope, that's baloney. I've learned. I'm leaving it behind. It's difficult for us to leave the past in so many ways, relationships and habits, things that we like to do. Whew, yeah, boy, is it tough. We're creatures of a habit. We really are. And we just have to keep at it. But the stories reflect that. And because the template is exactly framed on that. That's what the template is. Human life. Okay. In fact, as you're going through these, if you keep remembering that, as you're going through and trying to decipher it, remembering that the destination is inner happiness, and that these are based on steps in the human life, or parts, aspects of a human. Looks to me like Moses is the person in charge. Aaron is the one that has the capacity to actually do the work. Moses overlooks and says, yeah, we've got to heal this. And Aaron's the one that says, okay, I'm going to change it. I'm going to emerge it. I'm going to interact with this memory. I'm going to interact with this fear until it's not fearful anymore. It looks like they're breaking those two parts down like that. And that's fine. We have Merlin in King Arthur is going to be a downstream concept that's very similar. A part of us that is magical, that has the capacity to do things, while another part of us knows what to do. And that, for a story, yeah, that's a fine way to put it. But it still fits in the human psyche. Logically so. And in a hierarchy. It's maintained in a hierarchy. Oh, it takes a while to to learn to see it, to wire it in. But yeah, okay, that's it on this one for the beginning, and hope the video was fun. Everyone, love each other, and I'll see you in the next one.